this slaps. She's so beautiful and talented. I just can't. The Taylor Swift of metalcore. Courtney. My girl crush is girl crushing. Hi y'all, I'm Taylor. I'm a therapist and I love metal music, and I'm so excited. We're going to listen to the brand new Spiritbox and talk about how the lyrics relate to your mental health. But before we get into that, very important, we have a support wall. A support wall is a place where you can share anything that you would like support for, and our community will provide encouragement, because that's what we do. We provide encouragement to music lovers. Also, once again, I'm wearing this sweater because you can take Warped Tour away from the girl, but you can't take the girl away from Warped Tour. And I just want bands to sponsor me. That's my dream. If that would be my hey, look, Ma, I made it moment. Also, my rug. I don't know if you can see, but my rug is checkered, so I match my rug. And I just realized that I'm seeing a client after this, and the last time I saw her, she mentioned that I matched my rug. So I hope she's not why are you wearing this sweater again? Okay, anyway, enough about me. Let us watch the new Spiritbox. It's called Cellar Door. I love a strong woman in music. So I love Spiritbox. Let's do it. In 3 and 2 and 1, click. A little creaky. Creaky. We call my friend Paxton Creaky. Creaky. She's so beautiful and talented. I just can't. The Taylor Swift of metalcore.
Always here to catch my fall. I carry it,
this
something
slaps.
beautiful. I turn the key into my burial. I'll surrender into my open soul. Close the loop. How could I know I would fall? So
Courtney. My girl crush is girl crushing. Oh, it's so dynamic. So many sounds. I love it.
Transform my death into a conduit. This body separate from the verified. Let's sign a coping mechanism of monotony. I will destroy the deprivation that I was forced to live. Close the room. How could I know I would fall? So I start turning over. Hopeless blows just to go to the depths. Call mirror.
This is happy. I wasn't expecting it.
There is a chance that I don't believe me. There is a strain on the different line. Of the fall of the pain of feeling.
Oh, I love it. Whatever's happening in the back sounds so good.
So tear my lungs out. Tear my lungs out. How could I know I would
chills come down. Spooky up. Spooky up. Heavy spirit box. Heavy spirit box. I wasn't expecting that. Like the last couple have been like so like a little less heavy, which I loved. Like, I mean, I thought it was great. I also think that's great. Melissa Cross, could you teach me how to scream like that? Is that possible for just a little gal like me? Because I would love to be that much of a Betty. Okay. I can't. I really can't. Like, all I want in this world is to be Courtney. That's actually not helpful, you guys. As a therapist, I know that just wishing you were someone else isn't helpful. And if you find yourself feeling that way, it's an indicator. It's an indicator towards passion of like, this person is doing something that really matters to you. In this case, like, music really matters to me. Being creative really matters to me. I admire Courtney so much for doing that in her life and using that passion and that talent to create something amazing. And so that is a clue to me. I need to remember to always put effort into doing that. Okay. Taylor Swift who? Just kidding. Please don't come for me, Taylor Swift lovers. I love Taylor Swift. But like, this girl being this successful as a woman in metalcore is not easy. And like, she's crushing it. Like, I know there are other people in the band. I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's only Courtney. I understand. Like, they're all amazing. But I think it's really cool. You know, I think it's cool. All right, let's talk about it. Who could have known I would fall so hard starting over? Loop is closed. Just go to the depths. When I think of this lyric, I think of someone maintaining a pattern of destruction, staying in a cycle that, although familiar, is not helpful. One cycle that is familiar to many but unhelpful is the cycle of abuse, which usually goes, there's an abusive incident, verbal or physical. There's a apology and an attempt to really over repair. You know, this is where you'll see people like being extra affectionate or buying people gifts or things like that. There's a brief period of maintenance and then there's abuse again, and then the cycle starts over and over. When that loop closes and you step out of the cycle, it's not easy. Leaving is often leaving any cycle, not just leaving an abusive relationship, but leaving a toxic cycle, stopping the pattern, often requires an individual to go into the depths. And it's really hard and takes an immense amount of dedication and determination to close the cycle and then find a new, healthier cycle. That in between, we're just like grasping for anything, is incredibly challenging and daunting. And this is why people often stay in these patterns, is because they don't know how to close the loop. And in the past, when they've tried to step their toes outside of the pattern and into something new, it's like, oh, that kind of feels like lava. Like, that's hot. I think I'd rather go back here. Like, this is bad, but this is the bad I know. The familiar bad often feels better than the unknown, especially for people who have experienced a lot of pain and trauma, because it's like, I'm used to this pain. What if when I step out, there's worse pain? What if it doesn't get better than this? And my encouragement to anyone who is trying to close the loop is to prepare yourself. That when you are stepping out of a pattern and trying a new pattern, there's going to be a little dip where it feels really, really hard. There might be some relief too, especially if you're leaving an abusive situation, but it's not going to be easy because you're in between leaving one thing and finding a new, healthier pattern. And so it's going to be challenging, and just give yourself permission for it to be challenging, and encouragement that because it's hard, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That actually means you're taking a step towards doing something really, really right. Do you feel like when you stopped a toxic pattern, or when you think of stopping a toxic pattern, it feels really overwhelming and you don't know how? Share in the comments below by tagging at HeartSupport, and we'll encourage you. Inside a coping mechanism of monotony. So along the same lines of people staying in patterns and routines that aren't helpful, why do people do that? Often as a way of coping. Like I mentioned, there's the fear that what is waiting for them is worse than what already is. That's one thing. There's this piece of them inside that's trying to protect them. There's also this feeling internally, and I think a lot of this is unconscious, that if you don't try, then you can't fail. If you don't apply for the job, then you can't get rejected for the job. If you don't ask the person on the date, then you can't get rejected, right? And so doing the same thing over and over and over might not be getting the person to where they want to be, but is protecting them from something they fear, which might be something like failure or rejection or something like that. And so there's this internal part of us that's trying to cope by just keeping the status quo, even if the status quo isn't getting us to where we want to go. Okay. So how do we work with that? Right? Well, we have to first understand what the thing we're afraid of happening is. Is it failing? Is it rejection? Is it feeling like we're not good enough? Is it, what is it? You have to figure out what it is for you. It's probably something in that area. And then think about where the stories around that came from. Like, why are you afraid of failure? Because actually, one of my greatest gifts at working at HeartSupport has been it has almost completely eradicated my fear of failure in a lot of areas in my life, in that I actually don't just give myself permission to fail, I encourage myself to fail. And that's because of my bosses at HeartSupport have always encouraged me to try things. And if I fail, it's not like, you did bad, you have to fix this. It's like, okay, cool. What did we learn from this? And that's how I've been able to grow with this company and see personal growth. And we've been able to try new things and innovate. And I think we're on a really freaking cool path right now. But it's because we try and we fail. Before coming to work here, I had a much different story around failure. And I see that same story in a lot of my clients that struggle with perfectionism and anxiety. It's that failure is bad. And if I fail, it means I'm not good enough. And so you have to work with that story and understand where you socialize. Did your parents tell you that? Did you go to a really strict school? What is that? And then start to try to rewrite that story for yourself and find examples of people that you look up to. And if you can, speak with them about how failure or rejection in their life has actually helped them to be someone that you look up to, and start to do little things where you give yourself permission to fail. Maybe you try a heavier weight at the gym than you feel comfortable with. Maybe you take an art class or do like a paint and sip, or maybe you try to write a poem. Things that maybe not anyone's going to see, but just trying to practice building your failure or your rejection muscle. There's this guy that did like 100 days of rejection or something like that. And every day his goal was to be rejected. And it's really good. I listened to it on a podcast or something. And by the end of it, he realized that, first of all, he was rejected a lot less than he thought he would be. And he got a lot of opportunities because of that he never would have had. And two, that he wasn't as afraid of rejection at the end of it. So it's just a muscle that you have to work to try to speak to and heal that part of you that is trying to cope with staying the same. Are you really afraid of being rejected? Are you really afraid of failure? Of not being good enough? Share in the comments by tagging at HeartSupport and we will encourage you. I can't live in this world while I breathe in another one. Now, I think there's a fine line between dissociation and imagination. And I think that the difference lies in what the trigger is. So when I'm talking about dissociation, you can either feel like the world around you isn't real, like you're disconnected from it, Or you can feel disconnected from your body. Maybe like you're watching your life happening to you. It's almost like feeling like you're above, kind of watching, but it's not actually happening to you, or feeling like there's like a haze between you and the world and you're not actually a part of it. And disassociation is a common trauma response. It's also a common symptom of anxiety and of panic attacks. And when we are dissociating, this isn't just like I'm lost in a dreamland, right? It actually feels like I'm not in this experience on earth. Like my feet don't really feel like they're firmly planted on the ground. I just wanted to make a distinction, like imagination and daydreaming. You can be dissociating when you're doing those things, but certain individuals with more trauma are more prone to disassociation than individuals with less trauma. But when we're thinking about like good or bad, which nothing ever is either good or bad usually, it can be helpful to think about what triggered the dissociation. Are you really stressed out at work and so you find yourself unable to focus and feeling like you're very disconnected from your body and the world around you? Or are you having a nice, fun meditation session and you're daydreaming and going into another world, right? So one can be really helpful and can give you a sense of peace and calm, and the other can be really distressing. And so it's about the distress, it's about the trigger that determines, is this dissociation, or am I kind of just going someplace and using my imagination and my creativity? Because that can also be really powerful. If you find yourself disassociating, and often feeling like you're separate from your body or separate from the world around you, you really want to focus on a couple of things. One, your breath is always a really helpful thing to focus on. I like to do an inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6, and just really following the cycles of your breath to feel connected to your body. You can also do a body scan to notice, try to tone in, like what am I feeling in my feet, in my calves, in my knees, in my thighs, in my stomach, in my chest, my shoulders, in my head, just scanning your body to really feel into what's happening there. And you can also ground yourself in the moment. And a lot of people talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2 technique, which is 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell. And I like to do one thing inside my body I can feel. That can also help ground you back in the present moment. Even just listening to a song and really trying to hear all of the sounds in the song can ground you back in. But I just want to say that although dissociating is a common trauma response, not everyone is disassociating when you're zoning out or when you're daydreaming or when you're imagining things. You could be. Do you feel like you dissociate? Do you often feel separate from the world around you? Like you're not actually living in this world, or separate from your body? Like things that happen to you aren't actually happening to you? Like you're watching them happen to someone else? Share in the comments below by tagging at HeartSupport and we will encourage you. I would really love if you would share in the comments any Spiritbox lyric that really helps you with your mental health, that you really feel connected to, and share about why. Or if you want to share any pain that you're experiencing or something you'd like support for, share in the comments by tagging at HeartSupport and we will encourage you. One of our friends commented on a recent video we posted called Therapist Loves New Blink-182 Lyrics and shared, Andy Strader said, I am guilty of not allowing time for things I do to better myself to take hold. I struggle with pushing through that wall. And I just want to encourage you, your awareness around the fact that it's really challenging for you to give things time to take hold is first half of the battle. And second, can allow you to check in when you find yourself getting frustrated. You can say, okay, I know I have a tendency to try to speed up the healing process, and it's really hard for me to be patient and give things time to take hold. I wonder if that's what's happening here. I wonder if I actually just need more time for this to sink in. Another thing that you can do is check in with people around you who are professionals. If you have a therapist, if you have a doctor, a health coach, someone that you really trust or look up to, or a community group that you're in, and you can say, listen, I've been doing this for this long and I don't feel any different. Do you think that's okay? Or do you think I actually need to give it more time? Or do you think I need to adjust something? I love when my clients come to me and they're like, how long do you think it will take for me to, do X? And often I can't give them a straight answer, but then I can check in with them along the way and say, how are you feeling? What are you noticing? And sometimes when we have a really big goal around our healing, like I don't want to be depressed anymore, we forget to check on the mini milestones along the way. Things like, okay, maybe my depression isn't completely gone, but am I having less negative thoughts throughout the day? Am I able to get out of bed and take a shower more days out of the week? Am I able to get to the gym? Am I having less conflict in my relationships? Am I getting more work done? Am I feeling more motivated? There are all of these symptoms that we can check along the way to actually monitor if maybe just because our big overall goal hasn't been accomplished, if we're still making progress. My encouragement to you is to really think about some of those smaller goals and give yourself miniature checkpoints along the way to check in with people that you trust, and then to remind yourself of what you just said here, which is that that it's hard for you to be patient. And just really give yourself grace in this process. You're learning something new, and thank you so much for sharing. I hope that you feel encouraged and supported in this community, and we're here for you. And if you can relate to our friend here, please share in the comments by tagging at HeartSupport, and we'll encourage you too. Okay. Have a good day. Spiritbox rocks. Let's go.